Wondering how to turn Facebook Lives into a private podcast? In this video, I'll walk you through step by step exactly how to do it, as well as share some of my favorite tips and tools to make it easier. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to 5-Minute Social Media, where we help overwhelmed business owners streamline their social media so they can get more revenue with less work. If that sounds like something you'd like in your business, take a second, hit subscribe, click that bell. That way you'll be notified each week when we release another helpful video. And if you'd like a full streamlined plan for your social media, I have a masterclass that I'd love to have you go through. It helps so many different business owners. And if you stay to the end of this video, I'll tell you how you can access it completely free. All right? My name is Jerry Potter. Yes, it rhymes with a boy wizard. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to turn Facebook Lives into a private podcast. Now, a lot of people in your audience may not have time to sit down and watch an entire Facebook Live, even if it's a shorter one. But they probably do have time to consume audio on the go, and that's where private podcasts come in. Plus, you can use them to grow your audience because you can require an email address from somebody when they sign up for your private podcast. So let me show you step by step how to turn your Facebook Lives that you're already doing into a private podcast. So first, do a Facebook Live if you haven't already. And if you are doing Facebook Lives and planning to repurpose them for a private podcast, use the best microphone that you have available, even if it's just the headset that came with your smartphone. And I'll link to some of my favorite microphones for this in the description of this video. Next, we need to download the audio from your Facebook Live. Now, you need to do this on a computer. There's no way to do this on a mobile device as far as I know, but you're going to go to the Facebook Live video that you want to download and then click on the video itself so it opens up full screen like that. And then you're going to click these three dots up here in the right-hand corner, and you should see it in the menu there where it says download video. Now, I'm doing this in a private Facebook group. This is the What's Working Now in Social Media updates that we do for our members in 5-Minute Social Academy every week. So if you're in a Facebook group, it should look like this. Now, if I go to my Facebook business page and I do the same thing, I click on the video and I click on the three dots, you'll notice it's not here. Yes, Facebook unfortunately changes this stuff because it used to be here, but now to do a video from my Facebook business page, I can go to Facebook Creator Studio, which is basically facebook.com/Creator Studio. You'll have to log into your Facebook page if you have, or into your Facebook account if you have never used it before, and then you'll see your business page or business pages. Then I'm going to click over here and choose Published, which is going to show me all my published content. And then if you want, you can scroll or you can narrow it down by clicking Live Videos. And so here's that live video we were just looking at. You can see right here, I can download an HD recording of that live video right here in Creator Studio. So those both work as of this recording. If they don't, it's possible that something has changed since I recorded this. However, if it's not your video, like this is my video in my group, this is my video on my Facebook business page. If it's not your video, then they're not going to let you download it in this way. You can Google ways to download videos that aren't yours, but a lot of times you're breaking, it's a copyright violation, you're breaking the law in some cases, and certainly if it's not your video, you don't have the rights to republish it, the audio as a private podcast anyway. Next, you want to decide if you need to edit it at all before you publish it as the private podcast. Now, I recommend not editing it other than maybe trimming off the front and the back unless you absolutely need to. If the content is good, then little imperfections won't matter and you'll add way more time to your workload in getting this done. Once you've got the video file from your Facebook Live, you're going to upload it to your podcast host. Now for this walkthrough, I'm showing it to you in Hello Audio, which is what I use for my private members only podcast, but there are lots of other podcast hosts out there that will work as well. One of the things I really love though about Hello Audio is they will let you actually just upload a video file and it will take the audio from the video file and turn it into the private podcast. Some of the other ones I've seen actually make you convert it to an audio file before they'll even let you upload it. So that's a great time saver with Hello Audio. So if you haven't done it before in whatever tool you're using, you're going to need to set up your private podcast feed. So I'm going to click Create New Feed there in the center of the screen. Now this tool also offers public podcasts as well, but today we are looking to create a private podcast. We'll name it. You can give it an internal title if you want. You can add tags to it to help keep these organized because obviously in the future you'll have a bunch of private podcasts, right? So that's just an organizational tool they give you. Listeners can be notified via email if you check that box. when they subscribe to or sign up for your private podcast. And the type of feed, instant, is generally what you're going to want. That means as soon as you publish a new episode, then it goes out. You add an author, your website, and you could put your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever you wanted in here if you don't have an official website. And then these are some options if you want the feed to be available to people who subscribe forever or for a certain amount of time or anything like that. You can add a description, and then you can add an image as well. Now, I do recommend adding an image here so that when people add this to their podcast player, it actually looks really nice. It doesn't have to be like a fancy album cover like you see on a lot of podcasts, but I do recommend throwing an image in there. This is actually the cover art for my public podcast, Social Media for Streamlined Entrepreneurs, but I had the art handy, so I just threw that in there. Next, I'm going to click Save Feed. And again, this is something you only have to do once, okay? So now it says your feed has been saved. We've got our private podcast all ready to go. That's how simple it is to set one of these up to start. Next, we're going to go in and we are going to upload our episode, which of course is that video that we just downloaded from Facebook. So you can choose a file by clicking here. I'm going to just drag my file in. Down here at the bottom, you'll see that the episode is uploading, and this is just the weird title that Facebook gave it when I downloaded the video from Facebook. If you're taking a video or audio from somewhere else, obviously you can name it whatever you want. You could also rename it before you upload it if you want to. So now it's uploaded. You can see it still says unpublished. So I'm going to click on that episode. And now I have a chance to give it the episode a title. This was obviously just the name of the video file. And if your video file matches what you want the title to be, that's fine. But otherwise, you want to give it a title, whatever you want. If you want to add show notes, so it shows up in podcast players, you can add those there. I'll just type in is where the show notes go so you can see it once we get it into the actual podcast. Universal footer, this is basically anything that you want to go at the bottom of all of your show notes. So maybe you want links to your website, your social media, things like that. Once you've got all of this stuff the way you want it, you click Save and Return. Now, if I scroll down here, you'll see this still says unpublished, and that's because it happened to be, I think it was a 16-minute Facebook Live file that they're then converting into an audio file. So that's going to take a little longer. But if you upload an audio file or anything shorter, it actually goes really, really quickly. While that file is processing, let me show you how you're going to get the private podcast out to people. So essentially, you're going to give people one of two types of links, okay? The first link is called a universal link, and that's showing right here. And what you're going to do is click this little plus sign, and that basically copies the link to your clipboard on your computer, and then you can paste it wherever you want. And what that link does is makes it super easy for someone to add your private podcast to their favorite podcasting app. And I'll show you how that works here in just a second from the user side. But what I want you to see here is this is a universal link, meaning that as soon as somebody has the link, they can listen to the podcast for as long as you make it. So they can also share it with anybody they want. So you'd never use this for stuff you were charging people for, or it was only supposed to go out to a private group of people, or if you wanted people to give you their email address in order to get the private podcast. So this is fine if you just want to get it out there in the easiest way possible. You send out that link via email, social media, whatever, and then people can subscribe to your private podcast. However, the main idea of a private podcast is for it to be for a private audience, whether they're paying you or just because you want to get their email address first or whatever. So what you would do then is you would scroll down, and we're going to click on this other tab here that says Listeners. And this is where you can add listeners to the private podcast. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. One, you can click Add Listeners, and you can just paste, it says up to 1,000 email addresses separated by commas or one per line or whatever. So if you have a list of email addresses, you could just drop those in here, and then they would all get sent an invitation to your private podcast. Down below here, you can actually type in. So this is actually the setup for my private podcast for members of my Streamliners Club. And so down here, you can type in whatever you want to go out in that email. So that would be one way to do it. If you wanted to do it for multiple people, you come over here and check the ones that you wanted to remove. And then up here, there's this little drop down that says Edit, and you would choose Block, and it would block all three of those at once. So they no longer would have access to your private podcast. So now if we look back to that episode that I uploaded, you can now see it says unpublished, but it looks like it's ready to go. So I can just click this toggle. It'll refresh, and now you can see it's been published. And that's it. The private podcast is now out there for anyone that you have invited to subscribe. Now, I want to show you what it looks like when somebody in your audience gets invited to listen to your private podcast. But real quick, if you are a little bit more advanced, you can set up an automation to automatically add people and remove people from your private podcast using Zapier. So Zapier, if you're not familiar, is a cool tool. They have some great free plans where basically you can connect two different pieces of software and make them talk together. So ActiveCampaign is the name of the program I use for my email list. And so when somebody then subscribes to my email list and they're supposed to have access to the private podcast, I use Zapier to then connect it with Hello Audio. And then basically I use this where it says add listener and Hello Audio. So basically Zapier says, hey, when a new email address comes into this, then go ahead and add them to Hello Audio. And then I have another one, if somebody leaves one of my programs where it's a paid thing, then when they leave the program, then it automatically removes them from the private podcast. Now let me show you what it looks like from the subscriber side when somebody signs up for your private podcast. Now here's what it looks like when somebody gets the invitation to your private podcast, at least using Hello Audio, which I'm using for this demo. But basically they'll get an email and you can see here that it says subscribe to my private podcast, which is what I called it when we were setting this up. And then down below, there's all of these links that are specific to podcast apps. So their favorite podcast app may be here, or they can just copy what's called the RSS feed if they're a little more advanced. But for most people, it's going to be Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. So I just tap Apple Podcasts. And since I have an iPhone, it's going to automatically open it up in Apple Podcasts. And it's going to say add a show by URL. And then I hit follow, or your listener hits follow, and then there it goes. It shows up. Now, as I said, I was using the same cover art as my public podcast, which is that one. But right there, you can see where it says episode 1, and then underneath it says my private podcast. So that's it. That's all they have to do to add it on their end. And that's how simple this is, even if somebody's not tech savvy. As long as they're a podcast listener, they should be able to subscribe to your private podcast. Ready to set up yours? Now, if you don't already have a podcast host, choose your private podcast host carefully because they're not all the same. And if you want to just try Hello Audio, like we showed you here today, you can go to usehelloaudio.com. They have a completely free trial with no credit card information required. And so you can try it out nice and easily, again, at usehelloaudio.com. I'll also include the link to that in the description of this video. If this was helpful, take a second to give it a like and leave a comment so that way I know that you want to see more videos like this one so that I can make those. And you're not only supporting me, but also my two tiny superheroes at home. Hey, if you're frustrated with the way your social media for your business is going and you want a streamlined plan where you can get more results with less work, check out my free masterclass, 3 Secrets to a Streamlined Social Media Strategy, okay? You can click the link and get signed up right now, or watch this video for more information.